Hey guys, welcome back to Sports Bar, and we'll talk about the ICC World Test Championship. It's been a disappointing week as an Indian fan. We expected our team to do well. They did well for a brief period of time, but they could not capitalize, and hence we are making this rant video, a disappointed video. So we'll
Agreed.
start off with the toss. So
Mm.
of course the toss did not go in our favor. It's been like that for so many days now. So Virat Kohli somehow has to find a way to get his luck back
Mm.
and win tosses more often. Of course, it's not in his hand, but it went out of our way, and that's when New Zealand gained first points of the game.
We all say that toss is, it doesn't depend on us. It is luck, but you should have that kind of luck because if you don't win the toss, you might face yourself with a problem like we did in the first innings. The conditions were absolutely pretty well for bowling, for seaming conditions with and New Zealand with four pacers. They took advantage of they won the toss and they took advantage of that situation and the match after the toss after I would say even after getting a start I would say match was in New Zealand's favor because they had those conditions working for them. They had four fast bowlers with them. And very different types of fast bowler. We will may talk about that later in the video. But winning toss is crucial, very very crucial. If if it's a normal day, normal what you can say, if the sun is out and if the pitch is flat or there it doesn't have any it is not raining that much and everything looks fine, at that time, toss you might say that winning toss does not mean that you will give in game, but in such conditions, where the ball is seeming very much, there's cloud everywhere and there's the pitch has been wet after 1 or 2 days of rain. So in such conditions, winning the toss becomes important to gain that advantage. And unfortunately, India is lacking in that department.
Exactly, and we all expected the game to start early, but
Mm.
that did not happen. The rain interrupted, and the entire day was washed out. So maybe if the game started, at the normal time with sun out, then if New Zealand would have won the toss, which they did, of course, in the next day, they would have batted first. But with conditions
Mm.
totally in bowlers' favor, they chose to bowl, and they did really well with the ball as well. So talking after
Mm.
the toss, I think there's two types. It's choosing your best 11 and
Mm.
is choosing the most suitable 11. I think New Zealand chose the second part, and India went with their best 11, which is of course the one which we discussed. They
Mm.
played the exact same team, and if New Zealand were to play their best team, then maybe Mitchell Santner or Ajaz Patel would have, cut
Mm.
through instead of Colin de Grandhomme, who did not have a very big role to play on that day. But they chose him because they knew the conditions are in favor of fast bowler. They might need someone who just, bowls uh, medium pace bowling, might swing
Mm.
the ball both the ways. They did not use him much, but yeah, he could have come handy if more overs were needed. He could have done that, but did not have to because the other bowlers did too well. So
Mm.
New Zealand went with the second one. Maybe if India would have gone with Siraj over, say, Bumrah, and maybe Vihari would have played over Jadeja. Even though Jadeja, you might say that yes, he's a better batsman, but then do you think like Vihari would have made as a better player because he's got that technique? He's batted as a pure batsman whole his career. Then maybe Vihari would have made the a trick instead of Jadeja. So that would have been the case if India were to choose the most suitable 11. But they did not do that, and Kohli even had a
Mm.
chance to change his playing 11 after
Yeah.
the first day was washed out. Uh, we talked about those rules, but
Mm.
Virat Kohli thought it was okay for him to go with the 11 that he selected, and we all
Uh,
know what happened next.
I was just going to ask you the same thing that India declared is playing 11 a day before the match was supposed to start. Match was supposed to start at 18th of June, but it started on 19th. And he would have seen the conditions over there. Probably it was raining a lot. Probably it would have been difficult for spinners to match. It would have been a better option, to play at least once, to play only once, one spinner instead of two. Maybe what that could have gone into his that it got into his mind. But I don't know what happened. And I was thinking probably after the rain incident and after the whole day getting washed out, I was thinking now the conditions for the seam bowling have become more, you can say, more and more in their favor, and seam bowlers would have had a field day. So why could we have not gone for four seamers like New Zealand did, and we could have chosen six batsmen along with Ashwin and four seamers, just because all those conditions are going well. Then you could have chance to play Ishan Sharma, you could have chance to play Bumrah, Shami and Siraj. All four of them would have played, and that could have and even if we saw it in Indian innings as well. We wanted to bowl more with Shami because he was bowling exceptionally well. Bumrah was not having an off day. Someone like Shami, instead of maybe Jadeja or Ashwin, who were not getting that much help, instead of them, maybe Siraj would have bowled those over. And as we all know, fast bowler were bowling exceptionally well. He would have probably, what you can say, filled out that void of Bumrah, who was not having a good day. Always bowling at the pads, giving away runs, bowling those no ball. Could that have been, what you can say, a factor that would have gone into India's way?
No, actually, I'll tell you what. When condition favors the bowlers, it's always better to play more
Mm,
batsmen than bowlers because the least number of bowlers are going to do the same job,
mm,
which five or six bowlers are going to do. So I think Virat Kohli did that right. He played seven batsmen,
mm,
but like I said, maybe he could have played Vihari instead of Jadeja if that could have sufficed. Or like I said, Siraj instead of
mm,
Bumrah, who hadn't had a very great record.
mm,
Uh, in the finals. But like I said, if Siraj played and India lost, then we would have been saying that
mm,
Bumrah should have played by Siraj playing. So that would keep happening. And to talk about it, the Indian bowlers initially could not get a lot of swing, which went in New
mm,
Zealand's favor, and they scored a lot of runs. They were like 100 for two after the end of third or fourth day, whenever they batted.
mm.
So that went in their favor, and yeah, I think those were the small things which went against us. New Zealand capitalized and they won the game.
So this would be a little off topic, I would say. But are India missing someone like Hardik Pandya, who bats well, who gives you that fast bowling option as well? Because New Zealand have Colin de Grand home, Australia have Mitchell Marsh, they have Stoinis, England have Ben Stokes, Sam Curran, and many more. So India could would have such a what you can say option would have been what you can say very feasible for India or very helpful for Virat Kohli. In case if we had someone like Hardik Pandya, who was bowling fast, who could bowl seam bowling, who could bat. Maybe he could have played instead of Jadeja in this match.
Pandya,
Mm,
he's played a couple of tests for Indian team. He scored 100 and he's got a 5 wicket haul too. So it's not that Hardik Pandya wasn't successful, but the thing is, after injury, then we got to see less of Hardik Pandya and less of bowling Hardik Pandya. Even his form with the bat fell. So I don't think it was going to be an easy decision for Virat Kohli
mm,
to include him in the squad. If at all he made it into the team, it would have been like a wildcard
mm,
entry or an X Factor entry. But I don't think anyone would want to take that risk in the final. It's when you want to play your best players. And since you're talking about the
mm,
few fast bowling all rounders, like you mentioned,
mm,
it's not very common for India to produce a lot of fast
mm,
bowling all rounders. Here, you're always going to see a lot of Jadejas, the
mm,
Patels, and the Ashwins because of the conditions here in the subcontinent. So no, maybe no. Hardik
mm,
Pandya might not have made it into the team. It would have been a surprise inclusion if at all it happened. So
mm.
no, I don't really.
Do you think we need to focus on players like Hardik Pandya, Vijay Shankar, Shivam Dubey, all of these players who can bat and bowl, or probably look at Shardul Thakur as well? Because I just read a post a few days ago that India are looking to convert Shardul Thakur into a all rounder rather than being just a bowler. For conditions like this, for times like this, it is important for India to attention as those rather than giving your attention to your Ashwins and the talk Ashwin Jadejas and
Mhm.
Sundar and all.
Yeah, maybe see, it's the work has to be done from ground
Mm,
level, and you cannot just go and randomly ask people to start fast bowling all rounder. It's a difficult job. You have to
mm,
work on your batting as much you have to work on your bowling. And fast bowling, we all know it's very tough, especially, and again, for people in India who are vegetarian,
mm,
so they don't really eat meat, so it's not that easy for them to have that build for a fast bowler. it takes time, it takes a lot of effort. Spin bowling
mm,
all-rounder is relatively easy, and that's where you know stuff happens at the ground level.
mm,
But if there are fast bowling all-rounders who are doing really well, teams got to invest in them, give them more chances,
mm,
and make sure they do really well at the ground level. And slowly, they'll be able to
mm,
do well for Team India as well. Just like Hardik Pandya and players you mentioned, like.
mm,
But of course, again, Shivam Dube is
mm,
very inconsistent with the bat, with the ball too. He's just a medium pace bowler. He's not like Callis, or he's not like
mm,
Hardik Pandya who can bowl 130, 140 consecutively. He cannot do that. And to expect something from him would, uh, you know,
mm,
uh, would create problems in his batting. And I don't really think you would want that. So maybe they'll have to figure out a different strategy. Maybe play four fast bowlers and a
mm,
spin bowler when you're playing outside. And that one spin bowler is your all rounder. So
mm.
something like that would do. And I'm not in favor of.
Okay, so that was all about the logistic, that all the toss and the team selection. Now we'll go on to the match right now. India were sent to bat by New Zealand. 64 2 after 64, so 64 no loss, 62 for no loss after 20 overs. And everyone, even I was thinking, okay, this is a good platform now. We can build on this, and we can probably at least cross 300, 350 runs, and that would have been a great score. But suddenly that did not happen. From 62 for nil, we were I think so at the lunch we were 69 for 2. Your thoughts on those players, that on Indian batting especially, because we had that, what you can say, small partnership of 30 runs, 40 runs, not like we had a big collapse or not, but we had that small partnership. But
Exactly.
do you think a big partnership was needed, like someone maybe probably of 70, 80 runs, not a century partnership, but at least 70, 80 or 60, 70 runs?
Mhm. See, I'll tell
Mm,
you what,
mm,
it was not the new ball that did a lot of things. It
mm,
was a relatively older ball, which caused a lot of problems for the Indian batsmen. And the Indian batsmen did capitalize that situation. Both Gill and Sharma, they just let the new ball go. They just
mm,
pushed those balls into the gaps. I think we got off to the mark on the very first delivery. It could
mm,
have been a four on a normal day, if not for rain and the wet outfield. So it was a cautious start. It was a fine start. They did capitalize the less swinging new ball,
mm,
but then when the ball got relatively older, then it started swinging, and that's when the problem. We all know Indian batsmen are
mm,
very vulnerable to swing, and we could see that even with Shama throwing away his wicket, Gill
mm,
getting out to save Wagner, and it was Pujara whose role was very crucial. But no, he would just try to stay there. He just held on for
mm,
so many deliveries, but he could not make a big impact. Went out
mm,
against, tried to play that shot against Bolt,
mm,
and he gotten out. So I think the problem is very evident for Pujara. He does not trouble a lot of scorers
mm,
when conditions are tough. He just plays a lot of deliveries, and one good delivery, you're gone. So
mm,
bowlers have seemed to figure that out, which caused problems for Pujara. He got out. Then Kohli and Rahane did a good
mm,
job. Of course, India were 144 for 3 after the
mm,
end of the day. But again, it was the start and the stop, the start and the stop. It
mm.
was the bad light which interrupted the game, and that caused problems for India. So maybe you could give that to Virat Kohli. He was very
Mm.
unlucky there.
Again, as you mentioned, the start stop, especially and in the first day as well. We had a lot of start stop over there. After I think so, after the lunch session, we had a few incidents of bad lights. Player had to go out, then come back, then go out, then come back. That sort of what you can say distracts player of the concert. They were deprived of their concentration. And New Zealand got the what you can say a big innings to play. They had an uninterrupted day play. On the second day, they also had that uninterrupted play in the third day. So that kind of what you can say caused problem. But did you see some carelessness from Indian batsmen as well? I mean, you can say that the conditions were favoring New Zealand. There was short punch play, but you kind of expect you kind of expect to see through these things after playing international cricket. Did you see some carelessness in the Indian batsmen?
I won't say carelessness,
Mm,
but I'll rather use the word unlucky here.
mm,
Carelessness is a big word, of course.
mm,
See, what happens is when you have to go out to bat again, go back
mm,
in the dressing room, then again go out to bat. It's difficult because we all know
mm,
how difficult conditions are in England, with especially with that ball, and
mm,
Team New Zealand doing really well with the ball. See, it's 144 for three, and
mm,
if it's always a start stop, it's
mm,
difficult for you to put those balls away
mm,
and score runs. You cannot do that very easily. It was difficult to score quick runs. Two wickets, and New Zealand were just
mm,
on the driving seat and causing troubles for India. And so it was difficult for Virat Kohli and Rahane to just hold on and just the day end, let the day end, which they did. But that, of course, like I said, Kohli was unlucky. He fell to
mm,
Jamieson the next day,
mm,
and he got out to an overnight score. Rahane could not make a big impact. He got
mm,
out to 49. Ashwin, I'd say his role was crucial. Those
mm,
22 runs were really what the Indian team needed at that point of time. Uh, Pant got out
mm,
after a bad start. He just scored a boundary, and he got out at four.
mm,
And Jadeja totally failed, and we all know how the Indian tail is.
mm.
They don't score a lot of runs, and it reduced India to 217, which was relatively a small total. I'll say 25 to 30 runs short,
Mm.
but it is what it is.
Do you think our tail needs to focus on little batting as well? We all praise Ishan Sharma, Mohammad Shami, and Bumrah for their bowling. But do you think, at least for Test, I think in ODI or T20, I can guess, you have to play the shots, and you probably, get out early playing the shots and scoring those runs. But in Test, you have a lot of time to play. You have what you can say, you can defend those balls. So do you think, at least in Test, not I'm not talking about ODI or T20, at least for Test, do you think they need to do some batting practice as well?
See, if they don't really want to do the batting practice, I think they should figure out a way to get their tail out
Hmm.
cheaply,
Hmm.
so that would equalize the thing. But I think maybe a small blunder there.
Hmm.
Maybe Shami could have batted instead of Hardik Pandya.
Hmm.
Instead of Bumrah, he would have gotten those 8 to 12 runs, which were enough.
Hmm.
Again, 12, 12,
Hmm.
13, 15 runs from each and every
Hmm.
player from tail, which takes your score to like 70 or 80 runs.
Hmm.
80 runs from your last four or three batsmen is not a bad thing.
Hmm.
So it's just those runs. And of course, Ashwin is such a player who'd give you 25 to 30
Hmm.
runs every now and then. So that would, you know, take your tail score to maybe more than 80 or 90,
Hmm.
but that isn't happening. So if that isn't happening, then I think they should figure a way out to, blow the
Hmm.
opposition tail away. Maybe get a bowler like Mitchell Stark or Neil Wagner who just rips the tail apart. But that isn't happening. Bumrah isn't bowling those Yorkers to those
Hmm.
tail-ending batsmen every now and then. If he finds a way to do that, if he does that more often, then maybe we did not have a tail bat if they can really get the job done at the
Uh,
ball.
if we have come to bowling, as you talk about the tail, getting tail out cheaply, we have come into bowling now, and it was, I think so, on the first day, the first time when the New Zealand batting, when they were 101 for 2. The ball was not swinging much. Everyone was complaining why is there no swing. New Zealand bowler swing this much,
See, I'll tell you
and Indian
what,
bowlers, yes.
even
Hmm.
yeah, exactly. Even though
Hmm.
there was not a lot of swing,
Hmm.
Indian bowlers did a really good
Hmm.
job. They were bowling those tight line and lengths. It was not. It's not like New Zealand scored those runs very easily. They had to
Hmm.
work hard for those runs. So we'll give it to the New Zealand batsmen, but you cannot take it away from the Indian bowlers.
Hmm.
I'm sure. I mean, I could not see the match, but I was hearing the
Hmm.
commentary and
Hmm.
I was listening this very often that Shami was missing those edges.
Hmm.
If it was an edge, it went over the slip cordon for four. So again, they were not lucky, but it's not like they bowled
Hmm.
bad. Even Bumrah was bowling those tight lengths. He did not got a wicket, but he bowled those tight lengths, and very late the Indian bowlers
Hmm.
got the fruits of their hard work, but it brought the team
Hmm.
back into the game. But like I said, excellent bowling in the beginning.
Hmm.
A little bit luck into their side would have, made the score like 101 for maybe three wickets
Hmm.
instead of two. That would have been okay. So
Uh,
yeah.
So that was my first part of the question. The second part of the question was, what was the difference between the day one of New Zealand batting and versus the day two of New Zealand batting? Because they started the day at 1 run, 1 for 2, and at the time
Mhm.
of lunch, I think so India bowled 25 overs and they only gave 34 runs, I guess, and two those three crucial wickets of Ross Taylor, BJ Watling, and Henry Nichols. What was the difference between that, you can say, the previous night and the day Indian bowlers came to bowl again afterwards? And what was the main difference that you saw?
Like I said, the
Mm,
Indian bowlers were really doing a good
mm,
job. Even on the previous day,
mm,
they just continued doing that job, and this time they got fruits. Like
mm,
Shami was really exceptional with the ball. He got those 2 wickets. Ishant Sharma got
mm,
a wicket out there. Maybe we'd say Ashwin might not have gotten to the party on
mm,
that particular session, which was defensively.
mm,
So yeah, it was just that the results which were bound to come came on the other day instead of on the day three when we all expected it to happen. So yeah, that's the difference between on day one and on day 5.
mm.
Yeah, so
Okay. So the tail again, you brought up that Indian should try to get the tail out, and we also saw now that we had a slight glimmer of hope, when New Zealand were 134 for 5 after after the session. We had that slight glimmer of hope, even if we get them out in 50-60 runs, we could have had that 15-20 runs lead. That could have been really crucial when it came to second innings, or at least when it came to drawing the game. But sadly we could not, and we ended up giving 114 runs to the last 5 wickets. Is there anything that Indian bowlers could try? At least if you look at the other bowlers, if you look at Australia, England, how they bowl to the tailenders, and how Indian bowlers bowl to tailenders. Is there something they could have tried which was different than they did in the World Test Championship final?
Uh, see, like you said,
Mm,
114 runs were scored by the last five
mm,
batsmen. But let's not forget they had Kane Williamson batting in there. He was battling.
mm,
He did a good job. He scored 49
mm,
runs and batted out 177 deliveries.
mm,
So it was always going to be difficult with Kane Williamson on one and blocking those deliveries.
mm,
But what I think is the momentum went into their favor when this guy Jamieson
mm,
started hitting those fours and sixes, which took pressure off Williamson, and that allowed Williamson to start
mm,
hitting shots too. So Williamson started getting a boundary after every now and then. Jamieson was hitting sixes and
mm,
fours. So that period is when things went into New Zealand's favor, and the Indian team started
mm,
smelling trouble. Which, of course, then Saudi came. He scored
mm,
30 runs, and of course, the other batsmen they just blocked and they did a good job. They just let Saudi score those runs.
mm.
Williamson got out at 49. So what they could have done is maybe they could have asked Bumrah to continuously bowl Yorkers
Mm,
when Williamson was off strike. The New Zealand failed to score those many runs.
mm.
Maybe we would have gotten say a small lead of 25 to 30 runs, and those 25 to 30 runs would have been very crucial for the Indian team, and that did not happen.
So the
So
second innings will come to Indian batting again. I was just not able to find out what the game plan of Indian team was. They were not scoring much runs, but they were attacking those balls outside the off stumps. They were also blocking some of them. They were attacking some of them. So no, I think so. I think Team India came in with a mixed strategy. So I guess I couldn't really point out what their point was. Was their point of was they trying to get a draw, or were they going for the win? So I really did not thought much, did not see much any of the much. It looked like they came it half-heartedly. They came in with the, what you can say, expectation to win this one. Trying to play the shot, but after a few deliveries, it looked like they were thinking about a draw. So what did you took out of that second innings of Indian?
See, I wasn't surprised by the Indian batting approach in the second innings.
Mm,
I think their game plan was just to
mm,
let the day finish and come back on
mm,
the
mm,
sixth day, which was relatively going to be easier
mm,
for batting conditions. So that's what they wanted to. They just very cautiously let those deliveries go. Rohit Sharma was well set at 30. He was doing a good job, but then a silly mistake. He just
mm,
left alone Saudi's ball, which came in, hit his pad.
mm,
Had he just attempted that shot, it would have been a not out because of the impact being outside of. But
mm,
yeah, he made that blunder. He just left that ball alone.
mm,
Got out. Again, Shubman Gill,
mm,
his problem with those in-swinging deliveries, I think it's becoming evident. He
mm,
got out to, I think, James Anderson in
mm,
India, and now he got out to, Tim Southee's
mm,
setup about, the balls going
mm,
outside and then one off ball coming in. So he got out to Tim Southee like that. Only if they just, very cautiously, if
mm,
these two played out that day, it would
mm,
have been an easier job for Team India. On the next day, India would have scored many runs, say a target of 180 to
mm.
200, would have spiced things, and it was game on. So I don't think it was lack of approach or anything. It was just a different game plan, and I wasn't surprised looking at it.
So do you agree with me on this one that New Zealand bowling in the second innings was far better than the bowling plan the
Definitely.
bowling plan had there in the first innings, because I really thought they set a plan for everyone. I thought they set up a
Mhm.
plan for Suman Gill, as you said, out and then one delivery in. They set a plan for Rohit Sharma as well, bowling in those corridors. Virat Kohli also, Kyle Jamieson set him up really nicely. Virat Kohli was going across, and we also heard on a stump mic saying him saying that उसको irritate करने के लिए कर रहा हूँ. But Jamison was not, what you can say, least bit concerned with that. He went with his plan. Ajinkya Rahane as well, Jadeja as well, as you can see, Neil Wagner, bowling those short balls around the body area, and then just one slightly to the offside, and he got him out. So do you agree with all this?
Offside trap.
Yes, bouncer. And do you agree
Exactly.
with?
Yeah, I agree. New
Mm,
Zealand's bowling was far better in the second innings.
mm,
In first innings, they were excellent. In the
mm,
second innings, they were outstanding.
mm,
So yeah, of course. So New Zealand did a really good job with the ball. To put that into numbers,
mm,
104 for 8 was the Indian
mm,
score on the sixth day
mm,
of the Test match, meaning they got 8 of the Indian batsmen out. All
mm,
those wickets were taken by the fast bowlers, and in the next innings, none of Indian fast bowlers were able to take a wicket. So what New Zealand did was just push their lengths a bit back,
mm,
and Indian batsmen started it became very difficult for them to answer those questions. And like you mentioned, Neil Wagner was again very excellent. He
mm,
was bowling, at
mm,
those short balls. He was making it difficult for the batsman to, just very easily put those balls away. He put that deep square leg, that short leg. We all know his fielding
mm.
on when he puts that
Three
leg
players
side
in a
trap.
one line. Three players in one line along the leg side. You
Exactly.
could see that.
So it's not like you can just easily pull that and
Mm,
hit a six. You have a fielder in the team, or it's
mm,
not like you just want to defend it away. You again have a
mm,
player at short leg. So it's difficult like that. I think Jadeja initially did a
mm,
good job, but then I think it was all a setup. We all
mm,
know.
mm,
Just one delivery that was going away.
mm,
Jadeja he was like confused. He
mm,
was expecting a short ball, but that did not
mm,
come. So he played that delivery, got an edge, and
mm,
threw his wicket to Neil Wagner. And I think he deserved that wicket. He was really working hard. So, and Jamieson on the other hand, he was excellent. Got 5 wickets in the first innings and got two very important wickets in the form of Pujara and Kohli in the first 10 overs, which were very crucial. So yeah, I'll say one thing: the first 10 overs of this
mm,
the new day were very very crucial. If India would have survived those first 10 overs, then India would have scored a lot of runs. See, 104
mm,
for 8 was the score on the sixth day. It would have been 140 for 8, maybe 150 for 8, if all the batters were to get out. Then 30 to 40 runs were India was short 30 to 40 runs because they threw their wickets in the first 10 overs. So had they survived those overs, then things could have been different. It was just 35 runs and 10 overs, the difference between the two teams.
So as we all know, we have a five-match test series coming up against England in those same conditions, and probably I think probably worse conditions, because after as the summer rolls on in England, there's a lot more possibility of rain and lot more possibility of clouds coming over, and less
Hmm.
sunshine. Any pointers for Team India that they can take from this into that series?
I'll predict 2-all this test series. England isn't in their best form as well. Their batsmen are, you know, they are. making those mistakes in they're not having those big partnerships. Nasir Hussain was
mm,
really annoyed by the English batting approach too. So I'll give it to Team India. Maybe 12
mm,
would be the most ideal Test series score
mm,
in that 5 match Test series. Maybe Root might score a century here and there. Maybe Anderson and Broad could like just step their game up by this much
mm.
and might cause problems for the Team Indian batters. So yeah, big changes ahead in this Test series. You might see difficult things happening after this Test series too. So this is going to be a test for players like Pujara Rahane
Mm.
and yeah, Bumrah too might be on the radar. They might actually ask him to step his game up. Might make him work in a different way if he does not perform well in this Test series.
So yeah, anything you have to discuss so that we can wrap this up now?
Yeah, I
Mm,
want to talk about one thing.
mm,
It's the New Zealand batting
mm,
in the fourth inning. I'll tell you what. Like I said, 35 runs and 10
mm,
overs was the difference between the two
mm,
teams. The way Pant threw his wicket away, I was really annoyed. Had he
mm,
played till the tee, and then he could have added some runs after in the third session,
mm,
and it would have been like 30, 40 to like 45 overs is what New Zealand batted in the fourth inning.
mm,
Maybe if Pant played, it would have been like maybe say 40,
mm,
38 to 40 overs, maybe 35 overs. New Zealand would have asked to we would have asked them to score like 160 in 35 overs, which
mm,
is like 4 runs per over, and 4 runs per over would have been game on. Then we could have seen New Zealand batsmen struggling. We
mm,
would have seen them trying to block those balls, playing for a draw. And when you play for a draw, the approach changes, and then the Indian bowlers they would have rode, they would
mm,
have taken that opportunity to get them out. We all know they struggle against spin. That Ashwin might have come to play. He got those 2 wickets. He almost brought us back into the game.
mm,
If not for Ross Taylor, he just started attacking him. That's when the tempo of the game changed. But till then, Ashwin was brilliant. He would have been even more brilliant
mm.
given the ball was turning so much. Uh, so yeah, those were the areas where New Zealand capitalized and they got their desired result.
So again, you talked about New Zealand batting in the second innings, batting in the second, on the second sixth day, when the sun was shining bright, and I really thought, batting would be really easy on that pitch. Given if given what you can say, if you don't throw your wicket away, or if the opposition is really is not going up to, is not up to the mark. I really thought that batting was a little bit easy, and as you said, it was a difference of 30 for 30 to 35 runs and 10 overs probably. Even if we would have batted, at least 10 more overs, that would have what you can say, they would have that would have caused some problem for New Zealand. They could have had less overs, and they could have had a higher than rate to chase on to. All these things, what you can say, we were slightly unlucky to win this one, and probably
Exactly.
we would do a better thing next time around when the next World Test Championship final goes on. But till then, we can just hope that India team would learn from this mistake, and probably look forward to the India England
The World
series.
Cup is coming up, the T20 World Cup.
Yep.
So they're sending a new team to Sri Lanka.
Mm,
Uh, they'll have to make big changes. They'll have to give more chances to players like uh,
mm.
yeah, this left-handed Ishan
Ishan
Kishan. Yeah,
Kishan.
so players like Ishan Kishan,
Mm,
maybe ask Hardik Pandya to take more responsibility. Ask Bumrah to continuously bowl in those Yorkers.
mm,
Maybe see the way Bumrah bowls. Maybe
mm,
find him a new role. Maybe you can ask him to bowl 2 overs at the stop, one in the
mm,
middle and one in the end, or maybe 4 overs after giving him a break. So it's a
mm,
time to experiment things, and there's IPL coming up. A
mm,
lot will depend on how these players perform in the IPL, and like that we'll be
mm,
choosing up our best 15 players that will be playing the World Cup there itself in the UAE. So a lot of batting practice, bowling practice, a lot of match practice. So this time Team India does not have even one excuse.
mm.
They cannot say rain, they cannot say lack of practice. Everything is in their favor. So maybe finally we can win a World Cup, we can win an ICC trophy later in the month of November.
So now, on this side, we will try to wrap up this podcast slash video about the World Test Championship final review. And the next time we will bring you a cricket podcast that will be around Sri Lanka series, when India, you can say India A team will
Or
towards
the
Sri Lanka.
England Test series.
Before England Test series, there's a Sri Lanka Test series. So I think so. We
Sri
would
Lanka
probably
series. Correct.
make a video.
Mhm.
Maybe not make too many videos, but just one video talking about the India Sri Lanka series, and then probably a series of
Mhm.
videos are, regarding India England. So yeah, stay tuned for that. Anything you want to add, Ame, before going offline?
Yeah, that's what we have for you in the schedule, and we'll be bringing the football video tomorrow. So there's Euro round of 16 starting from today. We'll talk about today's game and predict the rest of the round of 16 and maybe the quarterfinals and the semifinals too. So stay tuned, and we'll see you. Peace out.
Peace out.